So we're going to start off in a seated position, just drawing the right hand towards the tummy, the left hand towards the chest, and just relaxing down the eyes. Allow the forehead to soften. Allow your cheeks to soften. The lips and the jaw melt down heavy. Your shoulders melt away from your ears. We relax down through the hips, both legs. And as we relax down all of the muscles in the body, we might find that the breath begins to fill the body a little bit differently. We might find that the in-breaths are more deep and full. We might find that the back body and the front body expand. We might find that that inhale naturally overflows from the belly up into the diaphragm, up into the height of the chest. We allow the breath throughout Yin just to be exactly as it is. We place no pressure on it to be a certain way, but we do expect that by the relaxation of the muscles, it becomes a little bit deeper naturally. When you're feeling ready, we're going to take our right leg and send it out long, like so. We draw the left sole of the foot to the inner thigh. And then we're going to either frame that leg and walk the hands forwards very subtly, or if that feels a little bit too intense, then we can stay upright and maybe hinge forwards with a more frontal facing movement. So we either frame the leg or face forwards. We can hinge forwards as much as you feel comfortable to. Begin to soften down. We take any energy out of the hands. We're not pushing into the ground. We're not resisting the depths of the pose. We're just allowing ourselves to soften down in a way that feels right for us. In a Yang practice, if we were taking this pose, we'd be focusing on length through the spine and openness through the chest. But in our Yin practice, all we focus on is that softness. The muscles relax down. We become heavy. We begin to melt into the pose. When we surrender down into the pose in this way, you might find that initially the sensations of the pose feel quite intense. Here we're targeting the side of the torso, the back of that right leg. And you might find that these areas really switch on, they feel intense. Maybe you find that the muscles contract and try and resist the pose. If we find that happening, we intentionally soften down those areas as long as the pose feels right for you. When we allow the body to come into a yin-like state, although the initial sensations can feel more intense, we often find that that lack of resistance means that sensations quite quickly dissipate into an enjoyable pose, often a pose that we don't really want to leave. We allow complete stillness through the body as long as the pose feels right for you. What feels right for you, you'll know intuitively, and your awareness of this will grow throughout your practices. If you feel any pain, any sharpness, any sensations of tugging or pulling that do not feel right for you, then we show our body as much compassion as we can. We move gently out of the pose slowly. However, for as long as all we feel is that intense sensation of stretch, around a 7 out of 10, where it's enough to keep our awareness present, but not so intense that all we can think about is when the stretch will be over, and not so gentle that the mind can just wander away freely. We want the sensation of the stretch to serve as a focal point for our meditation. Rather than being slightly meditative, but mostly focusing on the poses, Yin is a meditation. We come into different poses every few minutes, and we try and maintain our meditation throughout the whole practice. When you're ready, we walk the hands up towards the pelvis. We're going to guide towards the other side, so we send the opposite leg long, draw the right sole of the foot into your inner thigh, and then we frame that other leg. We walk the hands forwards, and if that feels too intense, we might go like this instead with the hands framing the shin. We could walk the hands forwards for a more intense sensation, or we could stay more upright in both. Once you've found your perfect version of this pose, then we begin to soften down. Begin to switch off the muscles. Relaxing the body in this way can signal to the nervous system that we're safe, that it's okay to relax and unwind, that it's okay to become less alert within the mind. So as we hold these poses and melt the body down more and more, allowing the body to be still and in a state of surrender and relaxation, gradually we'll shift more and more into a yin-like state with the mind. A yin-like state with the mind is simply returning to our natural state, or a state of meditation. We're just peeling away the ego, the identity, habitual thoughts, thoughts from the animal brain, peeling away all of the thoughts until we're left with just the consciousness, just the awareness, which is thought to have always been there before we existed within our body. This part of ourselves is always watching, but very rarely in the driver's seat, in the car alone. Often we have passengers, such as the ego, the identity, popping up, rejecting things, accepting things as their own, attaching meaning. And this will happen throughout your practice. When we notice other parts of the self beginning to engage in conversation, we don't become frustrated at the mind. We don't need to aim for perfect silence, completely void of thought. All we need to do is observe what thought we landed on, and we give ourselves permission. We allow ourselves to not have to respond as we do in day-to-day life. We allow ourselves that freedom to not react, but instead we just observe. We allow the thought to exist in our awareness, as if it's floating in front of your face. We acknowledge it without interacting with the thought. We allow it to sit there for as long as we like, being a part of our present moment for as long as we need it to be, until you're ready to move to your next present moment, such as observing the breath, observing the sensation of the pose, ensuring through mind mapping that the muscles are relaxed down, then returning to the breath. It's okay to have some of the muscles of the body slightly engaged. For example, here the arms might be a little bit yang, a little bit pushing the ground away, and that is if you need a monitoring of how deep you go. For example, if you find that a complete relaxation feels too much on a certain area, then we incorporate a little bit of yang where we need. However, we always want to make sure that the target areas are relaxed down, which here is the back of that leg and the side body. We're here for 2 more breaths. Before we slowly walk our way back up, we're going to draw both legs forwards, like so. We're just going to sit here for around 20 seconds. Relax down your eyes, your jaw, your shoulders, everything softens. The spine doesn't have to be upright as we would in our yang practice. We allow that same switching off throughout our counter poses as we do in the poses themselves. In our yin poses, because we're relaxing down the muscles, we're allowing ourselves to target slightly deeper connective tissues, which are also known as the yin tissues. We can target these through the relaxation down of the muscles. We begin to target the fascia, improving its elasticity, the tendons and ligaments, improving their length and strength, the joints, we can improve their lubrication, the bones, we can improve their density. We're not just working with the physical body, making those subtle improvements to those deep, deep parts of the body, but we're also working with the energy body of the meridian system. We work with this in 2 ways. One is by releasing tension from the physical body, from the emotional body, and from the mind as we practice, which creates a clearer pathway for energy to flow through our body. But another way is by directly stimulating the meridian system. So as we come into our next pose, I'll explain this. We're going to draw our left leg up towards us. We wrap that left leg up, round and down. You might leave that right leg long, or you might hook that right leg under, like so. So it's completely up to you what you'd like to do here. It's either half shoelace with the right leg long, or full shoelace with the right leg tucked around as well. Once we found our perfect version of this pose, you might forward fold, or we might stay upright. Maybe the hands are in the lap, maybe they're down by our side. Do whatever feels right for you. And then we begin to relax down. When we relax down, we're not just relaxing down at the target area. We're relaxing down through the forehead, the eyebrows, the eyelids and the cheeks, the mouth and the jaw. We soften the shoulders and every muscle down towards the hips, and then every muscle from the hips to the feet. It's normal for your pose to change visually as you relax. For example, you might have started with your feet very close to your pelvis, and as you relax, they might have splayed outwards. It's thought that wherever you land in your yin practice is your perfect version of this pose today. There is no right or wrong particularly. There is only exactly as you are, and we send complete acceptance towards whatever that is. We do the same for our energy, for our mind, for our emotional body, sending that complete acceptance towards the self. Here we're targeting through the liver and kidney meridians mostly. We also target through the stomach and spleen meridians, and if we are forward folding, a little bit through the urinary bladder meridian as well. Each meridian is like a channel, and through this channel, chi or energy is thought to flow. And we refer to this chi or life force as chi because because meridians derived from traditional Chinese medicine theories, and a lot of yin is pulling upon that. However, many different cultures throughout history have thought of energy traveling through the body in this way. So we have the nadis, for example. So it's a very interchangeable notion, this idea that when we come into poses like this, when we relax down the muscles to go deeper into the body, we begin to work with the energy body, the life force that's carried through us. And throughout all the different cultures, they share this same notion that if we have harmony through this body, it will bring with it a sense of well-being, a sense of balance, emotional balance, energetic balance, balance within the mind. Each meridian is thought to relate to a different emotion. Here we're targeting meridians that relate to emotions of fear, emotions of strength and courage, emotions of joy and contentment, emotions of letting go and forgiveness. When you're feeling ready, we're going to take this top leg, we're going to scoop it round like so. So we draw our front leg into a right angle, our back leg into a bend. If you like a more intense position, the back leg has about half a leg's distance between the sole of the foot and the knee, and that leg is also at a right angle. For a gentler practice, draw your knee to touch the sole of the foot. We could grab a bolster placing it down by our side, coming into sleeping deer, like so. Wherever we are, we allow ourselves to completely relax down. In this pose, we're targeting most of the lower body meridians again. This time we target the gallbladder meridian, which runs through the side of the torso. This relates to feelings of forgiveness, feelings of letting go, release. It's normal for your mind to wander. Especially when we're changing positions. In many ways, yin can be slightly easier than regular meditation because we feel a little bit less restless because we are moving every few minutes, and because we have that third focal point with the sensations that we feel. However, it can also be quite challenging because as we come into our poses, we are tapping into tensions of the body, tensions that we hold in the hips, in the back, in the torso, in the shoulders. And these tensions can arise into our mind. If you do find them arising within the mind, whether it's in the form of a clear thought or more like a fuzzy emotion, all we need to do is observe. We don't need to do anything at all. Just as the body is in a constant state of being rather than doing in yin, the mind eventually follows suit. We allow the mind to stay in a state of just existing, just observing. When you're feeling ready, as slowly as you can, we make our way up. We're going to come onto the other side. So we're going to draw the opposite leg up towards us and over. So we draw the right leg into your shoelace. You might stay in half shoelace, or you might tuck that leg under. You can also incorporate bolsters into your shoelace by wrapping the arms around. So often, yin was practiced as more of a discipline, so we'd have just the hard ground, the weight of the body and gravity all coming together to make your perfect pose. However, sometimes it's nice to tap into the more compassionate side of our yin practice and incorporate more restorative elements like bolsters and blankets. So wherever you're at today, whatever sounds more appealing, you begin to soften down. Because each meridian relates to a different emotion, it's normal for emotions to arise when we practice. One, because we're tapping into areas of tension that can hold stress and emotion, and also because the meridians are thought to relate to different emotions. When we target these meridians, considering how they can relate to opposite ends of the spectrum of certain emotions, we're mostly aiming for balance. For example, if we're folding forward, we're targeting the urinary bladder meridian, which is thought to relate to fear, but is also thought to relate to the opposite of fear, which is faith and trust and love. So when there is this spectrum of emotion, if our meridians are out of whack or there is a lack of harmony or flow through an area, it's thought that we can begin to feel excess or lack of certain emotions. When we practice yin, we don't need to feel just the happy emotions, just the good feeling emotions all the time. What we're more aiming to do is be able to feel the full spectrum of emotions. We're just looking for that ability to be able to slide up and down and not be cut off from any of the emotions. In yin, there is no good or bad. There is no good or bad emotions. There is no right or wrong. There is only observing what you're observing in the present moment, met with no judgment from the brain. You might feel a subtle discomfort with certain emotions that arise, whether that is because it just doesn't really align with us, or whether it's because we've begun to engage with it. Either way, once we become aware of that discomfort, we allow ourselves to observe that. Allowing a thought to exist in our present moment, in our mind, isn't a form of accepting it as our own. It's simply not rejecting it either. Often it's the rejection of a thought that can create tension and discomfort, that can create a loop that causes the thought to keep coming back. When we allow it to exist, it can begin to lose its weight and lose its hold over us. When we acknowledge it and shine a light on it, observe our initial reactions to it, it begins to give us more control. When you're feeling ready, we're going to move our bolster to the other side of the mat, and we swoop our legs round, like so. If you feel comfortable to begin to twist, then we do. We can relax down into our bolster. If this is not comfortable, you can draw your bolster more to the side for a less intense twist. If you would like to intensify, you can also draw that leg back. Allow a complete softening down. if you find that you're having one of those days where you just can't focus, you can't maintain meditation, that is absolutely fine. As long as we observe when the mind has wandered away from meditation and allow us to guide it back towards present. It doesn't matter how many times we need to do this. Simply by continually observing and continually guiding back, we're creating a habit. We're creating a neural pathway so that in day-to-day life this will be slightly more easy to do. And on the days where you can focus, and you can get into that zone or that meditative space, on those days we're benefiting areas of the brain related to retention and memory. We're improving our cognitive function. We're reducing the chances of burnout and overwhelm and stress. We're improving our mood, all from just returning to a state of being, relieving ourselves of that constant responsibility to be doing. This can feel unproductive if you're more in your yang energy. It can feel uncomfortable and unaligned. But it's one of the most productive things that you can do for your brain health, for your emotional health, your mood and your body, just to bring some balance of yin into your day. This is a really lovely pose because you're completely supported by the ground. You can switch off every single muscle. There isn't a requirement for the arms to be yang or the head to be lengthened. We just allow that complete heaviness. As the nervous system switches more into that rest and digest state, or the parasympathetic nervous system is stimulated, naturally the mind begins to wander a little bit less. We know that the mind and the body are completely interconnected in many, many ways. We know that when the mind is anxious, the body can be jittery. When the body is hungry, the mind can be agitated. When the mind is sad, the body can move slower. When the body is tense, the mind can be more stressed, and vice versa. So what we're doing in yin is just taking what is within our control, allowing the body to be switched off and relaxed, allowing the body to be still, trusting that in time the mind will follow suit, becoming more still and meditative, becoming more relaxed and accepting. We do all this whilst improving those deeper connective tissues of the body. Whilst improving the flow of energy through the meridian system. When you're feeling ready, we're coming into your Savasana. If you do have a bolster, you could always lay on your bolster, like so. And for your Savasana, we'd like the legs to be long. The arms could be behind you, or they could be down by your side, whatever feels right for you. We'd like an elongation of the limbs where possible. Essentially, the areas that we have been targeting in our poses, that we've been compressing, constricting, placing stress upon. We would like these areas to be elongated. So that prana or energy or chi, that life force that we've been working with in our yin practice, can flow freely through these areas. Whilst in this pose, whilst the body is quiet and listening, we can plant a seed of intention, a sankalpa that we can take with us throughout the rest of the year. This could be to honour the yin and yang energies within you. It could be to return to a state of just being once a day. It could be to reach for that balance of compassion and discipline in day-to-day life. Whatever resonates with you. And a sankalpa is often extremely powerful when we start it with the phrase I am. For example, I am balanced. I am calm. We breathe our sankalpa in. And we release our sankalpa into the space around us. We'll do this 3 more times. And then when you're feeling ready, we slide both legs into a bend and we roll onto one side. You come into Anjali Mudra with the hands. Namaste.